Welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to talk about lighting, and I have two lights that I want to share with you guys today. These come to us from Zhiyun. Actually very hard to say because those sounds don't exist in English, but either way, Zhiyun is a pretty amazing company. I have used some of their stuff in the past. I've owned several of their gimbals. They make a lot of photography accessories. They're really awesome stuff. Well, they've just announced two lights that they're producing now. I'm going to share with you in this video. This is the Molus G60 and the Molus X100. So both of these are continuous LED lights. They're COB lights and they're bicolor. They're pretty bright, they have really good wattage, and they're tiny. So if we look at the specs on here, you're gonna see that these are pretty powerful and actually really versatile lights, particularly at this size. So if we look at the G60, you're gonna see that the output power obviously is gonna be 60 watts. It's bicolor, so the color temperature can range anywhere from 2700 Kelvin all the way up to 6500 Kelvin. The CRI as well as the TLCI broadcast rankings are very high. The luminance on this light, if we set it to 6500 Kelvin, full 100% brightness, at 1 meter away is going to be 2,376 lux, and the weight on this comes in at 300 grams. Now if we look at the X100, you're going to see that it rates just about the same, the main difference being the output power is a full 100 watts, and the illuminance, because of the higher wattage, is going to be 3,881 lux. This comes in at around the same weight, it's 385 grams. This does change because there is a battery grip that's included with this. We'll get to that in just a second. So the design on these is really interesting as well. We'll start with the G60. It's a very minimalist aesthetic that's going on here. You have your light on the front. The body is mostly ventilated for cooling, and there is a fan under the side panel. The controls on here are very minimal as well. On the top of the back, you've got your power on and off, and then there are two dials. The one on the left controls the dimming of the lamp. The one on the right controls the color temperature. Now you can press each one of these two, and when you do this, it kind of gives you a quick way to round robin through the settings. So for instance, the dimmer goes between 0, 50%, and 100%. And the color temperature, when you press that, cycles through 2700 Kelvin, 5500 Kelvin, and 6500 Kelvin. So this makes it convenient to dial it in quickly if you know roughly how much power you want for the output, and then you can just dim it off from there, and same with the color temperature. On the bottom of the light, we've got the mounting arm, and so to open this, you just turn the dial to unlock it, twist it to lock it back in, and we have the standard 1/4 inch threading, so this will pretty much mount to anything. So there are two power options for the G60. You can use the included power supply, or if you really want it to be portable, I would get a USB brick and just do power over USB. This is a really cool way to go, and it opens up the possibilities of what you can do and where you can take this light. Now the X100 has a very different design. Zhiyun are calling this a retro design, and it actually is very cool. It's not unlike a camera in some ways. The big feature here is we have the light on the front. If you flip it over, you'll see the fan for the active cooling system, and the controls on here, just like the G60, are very minimalist in layout. So you've got your red power button on the back for turning the unit on and off, and then you have dials for the dimmer as well as the color temperature. And just like the G60, you can push in on these as well to cycle through the 0 point, the midway point, and the high point for the dimming, as well as the color temperature. Now there is a little door on the bottom of the X100 that shows you where your power inputs are, and so you can use the included power supply. This will also charge via USB, but I think the best option is you're going to notice that this unit comes with a battery grip. It attaches super easily, and this is going to give you a 2600 milliamp hour battery. This is what turns this into a really portable and useful light. In terms of battery life and how long this is going to last, and I can just tell you from personal experience, it depends on how you're using the unit. If you have it cranked up full to 100%, I would say you're going to get about 30 minutes or so before the battery's depleted. However, in practical use, this is the kind of light that if you're doing a YouTube setup, something like this, I have a light and I'm using one right now, and it's actually about a foot from my face. So it's pretty close, and so I don't need a lot of power. And so what I do is I set this around 10% power or so, and the other day I was filming outside and I got a full hour out of this, and it still had 50% battery left. So it all depends on how you're using the unit, but this gives it an enormous amount of versatility. In fact, speaking of versatility, we do have a mounting system on both of these lights too. So it's right around the light itself. Zhiyun have a wide range of light modifiers, so if you want to start working with domes and diffusion filters, this is really where you're going to get these lights to take off and do a lot of really cool things. The two that I've been using the the most are the mini softbox, which I like a lot. It also has a little grid that you can Velcro in here to prevent light spill. And the diffusion domes are actually really nice as well. And if these light modifiers are actually too small for what you're trying to do, they do have adapters for Bowens mount type A and type B. So you can use these with the much bigger lamps that you're used to using in studio type applications. If you watch this channel, you probably realize that I'm at my house and not my studio today. So we're gonna go back into my old studio, which was the spare bedroom, and I'm gonna relight that just using the G60 and the X100 lights. So come on back. Okay, we have not been in here in a while. If you follow this channel, you probably remember this space. This is the room that I filmed in for, gosh, probably about 6 years before I got my current studio space. So I've redone all the lighting in here. Everything that's light right now is coming from either the X100 or the G60. So I'm going to show you how I built this little setup out. Let's go ahead and turn everything out. So we'll just do it one light at a time here. So we're going out now. All right, so very different, and this is just the ambient light. I've got two windows in here. One's behind that curtain, actually. The other is to my right, and this is what makes filming at home difficult. There is not adequate light in here. I don't want to use room lights or ambient lights to get weird shadows and stuff, so I built this from the ground up. So the first light is just going to be my key light. I'm not actually going to do a full three-point light setup, but I'm going to go ahead and hit the key light now. Very moody. So this is an X100 right now, and I'm running this through a Bowens adapter and through my big lantern softbox. So this is just going to get a nice light on my face. On one side, it's very dramatic lighting. This actually could work for a variety of applications. YouTube video, it's still a little dark here, so I'm going to go ahead and start adding to this. So the next light I'm going to add is to brighten this up back here and get rid of the window that you can see through the back. So we'll go ahead and light that up. Okay, we're getting there. So this is a G60, and it's actually at a full 100% output right now because I'm trying to light up the background. I like a little bit of mood in here, but I don't want to make it so it's just really dark and I'm just a floating head. Okay, so a little better, and this is just subtle, but it just gives me a little separation from the background and a little more light back there. This could work as is right now. It's a little moody still just because one side of my face is lit more than the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another X100 here. So let's go ahead and add that. Now we've got a little bit more balance, and actually I'll just pick this up and show you because it's just running off the battery. This is just using the Zhiyun modifier here, which is the mini softbox here. So, I mean, and it's running at 5%. So the whole idea is I don't want 100% even light on a face, so I'm going to go with just a nice key light here through the much bigger softbox. This will give me a nice spread. This is running at very low power. Like I said, it's just 5%. This one's at actually 10. So you don't need a lot of light to do a studio setup like this. And that's what makes this kind of cool, is that that light is the only one running at 100%. I'm using 20% back here, and then I'm using 10% up here because it's so close to me, and then just 5% over here just to give it a little bit of a fill. And that works pretty good. And so that's what I'm saying is there's more power in these lights than you're ever probably going to need. I'm going to show you a couple other situations that you might want to try these out in. So normally you don't think of continuous lights for still photography. I actually use them quite a bit. And if you saw my last video on the Leica M11, I did a lot of little still life setups for those using various flowers. These work really great for that. And what I love about them is the size. So normally studio lights for continuous lighting, they're built for video, and they're going to be much larger. They're a little more cumbersome, harder to move around. What I like about these is they're super small, and they're super easy to move, and you can just kind of get the light exactly how you want it. There's a lot of room for creative experimentation with these, and it's something that I really enjoyed using. And so it's a little bit different than a flash setup, and if you don't need the power of a flash setup, I actually prefer using continuous lighting because it works like ambient lighting, and you can actually mold and sculpt the light as you're moving along. So that's something that really worked out well for me. And then a third situation that I want to share with you is actually something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and it's just too difficult to set up and tear down. But these lights kind of change the game on that. So I actually have a backyard that's fairly nice, and this time of year in the spring, it's kind of nice in the evening when the sun starts going down. Problem is the sun is going down, and it's really hard to film outdoors in any situation. This is just a one light setup that you're seeing in this footage here. It works really well, and for those of you who do run and gun street type interviews, things like that, you could get one extra person. I mean, these are really adaptable to having a very small crew. I mean, for my videos, it's a crew of one. It's me. There's nobody else here. But if you wanted to do man on the street kind of stuff, you could get just an assistant to get a tripod or even just a monopod or something and hold the light. And this is going to change the game for video stuff. I love that these are bicolor too, because you can dial it in exactly like you want it. Inside, it doesn't matter. They just need to all be set the same. But if you go outside, you can match to the ambient light that's out there. Anyway, these are kind of game changer lights. And I really appreciate Zhiyun sending these to me to share with you guys. I'm really impressed with these. I would love to know what you guys think, so drop me a comment below, and I will see you guys in the next video, probably lit with these. Until then, later.